changing parts of our country and our government. So candidates, what do you think you need to fix or change about yourself?
Mr. Long, you have the first response to this question.
That we need to change about, can you restate the question?
Basically, Joy asked what fixing and changing parts of our country and government, what do you think we need to fix, what would you need to fix about yourself?
I think that we need to fix the spending is the first thing, but I think that the health care is what needs to be repealed and replaced immediately. I mean, that's our problem right now in this country, is we've got people in Washington making decisions. I think we need to elect citizens, people that have signed the front of a check like me for over 30 years that'll go up there and use business decisions. So as far as changing something about myself, I want to change my location and go to D.C. about 3 days a week and work on the problems of this country like I've been running for 18 months. I mean, Mr. Eckersley just said that I didn't want to do this debate. That's nonsense. This is the 19th debate I've done. I stood the fire. I stood up with 8 people. You're quoted as saying, Scott, that you didn't want to do that. Your message was too important. You wanted to wait and sign up as a Democrat so you didn't have to fight it out with 8 Republicans and go through 19 debates.
All right. Mr. Craig, your response to this question.
I understand this question to be sort of like a personal development question rather than a strictly political question. And I would say the thing I notice of myself in the debates is that I tend to be very frustrated with the back and forth between the Republican part and the Democrats, the failure to get back to the central core issues of who America is and why we're great. And I tend to get kind of frustrated and maybe a little bit depressed. I think maybe I represent a lot of voters who aren't going to be watching the debate tonight anyway and probably aren't going to be voting in the election because they're just frustrated with the bickering and aren't getting to what was great about America. And I tend to get a little cranky, actually, about why it is we're so far off the track and why we neglect the Constitution and the principle of liberty under God that made America so great. So I need to change myself by getting more, I think, appreciative of what a great country America is and being able to communicate how grateful I am that I was born in this country and not get wrapped up in the political squabbles.
Mr. Long, your rebuttal to the comments made so far.
I thought Mr. Eckersley had an answer.
I'm sorry. You're right, Mr. Eckersley.
Well, one thing I need to respond to is, as long as you've been running in this race, I've been fighting the fight against big government going too far. Times it by 2 what you've been doing, and then you'll get some idea of what I've done. And I didn't leave the Republican Party. It left me, Billy. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the history, but most people would agree that running in the way that I have isn't easy in terms of going at it as an independent candidate in the midst of a 2-party system. That's what folks are calling for right now. And, you know, in terms of, I do think it's always important to stay on topic, Mike. I do think it's frankly always important to remember how special a place this is. We live under a system where a guy like myself can blow the whistle, fight back, and win. That's something, there's something to be said for that. I think most of us in general have the idea and the feeling that America is a special place. I think that reminder is a good thing to keep in mind every day.
Now, Mr. Long, your rebuttal.
I think that I'm in this race because I think that we need to send citizens of Washington, business people that have signed the front of a check and run a business, Scott. And I know that you got in the race late. The first debate we did together, they handed you the mic. You said, "Hi, I'm Scott Eckersley." You looked up and down the table of 10 candidates and said, "I'm not really sure why I'm here. I did file my name up in..."
That's not even accurate.
I did file my name up in Jefferson City.
If you're gonna quote me, then at least be accurate, Billy. That's not accurate.
Okay, I'll quote you then. "I'm opposed to earmarks. It's time to increase transparency at the federal level. Right now we need legislators with courage to vote on our nation's laws, not based on what's in it for them. I want to vote on the bill, not on special interest payoff." You said that to KSPR.
And you want to know what that's accurate? Where you're being disingenuous.
I think it's my turn, Scott. You said then later, 3 weeks later, you said you would fight like a bulldog to get Southwest Missouri the kind of appropriations like what paid for the Neosho National Fish Hatchery's new visitor center. My job is to go up there and bring home every federal tax dollar we deserve. President Obama put a swing set.
Now the fact of the matter is, Billy, what I've said is the situation does need to be rectified. The situation does need to be rectified.
He didn't put a money tree in the backyard.
Gentlemen, we're running out of time. Mr. Craig, your rebuttal, please.
Well, I'll just yield my time.
Okay. Well, then I guess the way the order of this is, Mr. Eckersley has some rebuttal time.
Well, the fact of the matter is that I do think the earmark system does need to be changed. I've still got blood on the floor in my fight for transparency, Billy, and that's what I'm referring to. But the fact is that if you say no to these dollars, these federal tax dollars, they go somewhere else. The federal government's going to find some other way to spend them. And Roy Blunt did a great job. Most people are in agreement at the Springfield Chamber. Most people were in agreement as well that, and along with the president of OTC, disagrees with your stance to say no to these dollars, these federal appropriations dollars. They fund I-65 being expanded right now. They fund 71. Places like Jane, Missouri that we visited, they used to be a liquor store there. Now they've got a Walmart, they've got a healthcare center, they have an emerging business because 71 was constructed. It's important now more than ever that in terms of jobs, that we bring these dollars home. That's the position I've always had, and no one can refute that.
Gentlemen, for this next question, we're